Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Gina Carano again. We're going to talk about this situation again because she did an interview with Ben Shapiro and she slammed Disney.
Well, are we surprised?
Well, I mean, she got fired the way she got fired. Of course she's going to, but she said a lot of things that we've been saying on this channel
we've
for
heard from
years.
people at Disney ourselves and have mentioned it's like, oh, if you're moderate or conservative, you're concerned working for Disney. It's like, we've been telling you this.
Yeah, we're hearing rumors back channel that Disney, at least in California, are sort of trying to purge wrong thinkers.
Right. It doesn't matter even if you're in the middle.
Right.
That's problematic also.
Yeah, if you're not on board with where Disney wants to go, moving forward, then they are watching you very closely. We've heard this from multiple sources. It's going to be really interesting, though, because they're talking about moving some of their operations to Florida.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out very well.
Why are they moving operations to Florida? They're moving operations to Florida because Florida's allowed to be open and California is still shut down.
So we like conservative positions as long as they benefit us financially.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that, talk about what she said, talk about some of our own observations with Disney. Disney is not the same company that Walt started. For sure, it is a global conglomerate. I don't think this surprises anyone who's listened to our show for any period of time. But, you would be surprised or maybe not surprised at how deep the mouse hole goes. Yeah.
So, I mean, keep in mind, this is her opinions, her stance, and us telling you what we've heard from people who are at Disney proper.
All right. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 177,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. And so we do talk about Disney, we talk about animation, we talk about movies. We talk about Disney a lot because we've worked in and around the company for years. In fact, Disney was a huge part of our life for many, many years. I still have a Disney blog, so technically it still is. Technically it is.
I'm not canceling that because I've worked really hard to get that, for one. And two, at least then there's a voice out there that isn't all just
pixie dust.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it fair.
Yeah. The Disney pixie dusters can be very cult-like. Sometimes they turn a blind eye to some wrongdoings that the company does because, golly, Mickey wouldn't hurt anybody.
But I tell you what, there's a lot of annual pass holders on the boards that call out shit all the time. So it's not just us.
Yeah, people are kind of getting fed up with it. Well, we talked about some of the Disney YouTubers that they literally make their livings by streaming Disney and talking about Disney. And they're even like, we can't agree with some of the decisions they made, in particular when it comes to their employees.
Well, some of them, not all.
Some of them.
A lot of them just toe the line no matter what because you got to keep those cupcake parties coming. But, here's the thing. Like I said, this is going to be based on what we've heard. We can't verify any of this. What she said, we can't verify any of this other than, seeing what we've seen, I kind of lean towards believing it. Also, before I get a bunch of people on here, oh my God, here they come. The conservatives complaining, the alt-right Yahtzees. We're not conservatives.
No, it's so weird. We had this is unrelated, but we had a couple channels talk about some of our positions on things, and they were surprised that people were calling us right wingers when they're like, any real right winger could listen to Clownfish TV and gather that they were not right wing.
No, we're moderate. If anything, we lean left. You're libertarian, lean left. I stay independent because I basically want to look at candidates and situations, and I don't want to be like, I don't just want to blindly follow parties because the party says so. But we lean left. We always have. You always say we're social. We're like, right, left on the sides of the rights and stuff, but like as far as the financial ends, we lean right.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty fiscally conservative. Socially liberal. Like I don't.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't care what you do with your own life as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Right.
So that you should have a right to do it.
That being said, I just want to clarify that again because we inevitably get some dippo who writes a comment about it's not right, Yahtzees. Well, sweet cheeks, no, we're not. So, and even when you take quizzes and stuff at where you lean politically, I'm always moderate left. So every quiz I've taken. So
this is
suck it.
This is what why we find ourselves in a very interesting situation getting lumped in with right wingers, because it wasn't that long ago that we were pretty much normie Democrats.
I think we still stayed that way. It moved, not us.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what a lot of people are. And anyway, it's unrelated. I just want to get that out there first because we cannot vouch for some of the stuff because we personally are only getting it hearsay. But I can tell you that you can, because you've been to some of the events where people were.
Yeah, are we talking about political leanings?
Well, I'm just saying, about the idea that people might be afraid of this.
Yeah, okay, so before we get into this anymore, again, Gina Carano, she was fired from The Mandalorian. She found out via social media.
Yeah, they didn't even tell her, which,
no.
That's just extra shit.
I can't get on board with that.
If they're going to fire her, okay. I don't agree with it. I think that it was wrong that she can't have an opinion, but other people can do the exact same thing, but it leans a different direction, and that's okay. That's not, rules for thee, not for me, I don't agree with. But the way they did it was so shit.
And that's what we want to talk about. Because regardless of what you think of her opinions, personally, I don't think her opinions were that terrible.
They weren't.
She needed to be like, we do have other people working on The Mandalorian that are giving similar hot takes. They're just on the other side of the aisle.
Right. It's okay if one of them does the exact same thing. It's word for word, but it's on the other side. That's okay. And that's what I have a problem with. But anyway, you're going to say.
I was going to talk about, some of the people working at Disney, particularly in Florida. It's going to be really, really interesting if Disney is going to double down on purging conservatives, because some of the events, and I was at many media events over the years when I worked for another Disney blog.
That we built.
Another
story.
That's a whole nother story. And I can tell you, in at least 2 or 3 different situations, I was the only non-conservative in the group. In fact, we had lunch one time and everybody was going around the table talking about how much they liked Tucker Carlson. Mm-hmm. These are all Disney, higher ranking Disney, Florida Disney people.
And they weren't all white, straight, and male, were they?
No, they were not. They were not. So it's going to be really interesting if Disney is going to double down on effectively pushing out conservatives, because they have a lot of conservatives in their ranks, especially in Florida. Maybe not so much in Hollywood, but Florida for sure.
Well, I think they do have them. People are hiding. And we've heard this not just in relation to this situation. Everything she's saying, we have heard from people in Hollywood in general.
Yeah, you'd be surprised the people that come to us back channel. We have a lot of conversations with people we cannot talk about. We will not talk about.
We never
reveal sources.
Yeah, never.
But the story is basically the same, that there is, effectively reverse McCarthyism going on. That if you're not a socialist, you're not very far left. They're trying to get rid of you.
Right.
And they'll find a technicality to get rid of you. And it starts with the right-wingers. It starts with the louder voices, and now it's moving more to center. You've got people like Chris Pratt, who is trying to not do anything controversial, and they still come after him because he
does
commit to the bit.
He doesn't actually say he leans right, but
I'm pretty sure he probably does.
So here's the thing: it's like if you lean right, or if you're perceived to lean right in any way, shape, or form, even if you don't, it doesn't matter. The fact that you potentially, possibly, maybe. Or if you're in the middle and you aren't, you're basically like, I think you're both full of shit, or I think I see points on both of your sides. That's bad too.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to what Gina Carano said, which people are like, oh, you're just now finally getting to this because that's why I came here.
Well, we wanted to get, clear the air a little bit about this. She talked to Ben Shapiro. There's going to be a podcast, I guess, dropping in a couple of days, the whole podcast. But she pointed out that, this is how Disney is. And she's got other friends working for Disney that are afraid for their jobs. I like
that. I just want to take a moment to appreciate her hairstyle and the headband, and she has like a yellow dress. I don't know why. It gives me Snow White vibes.
I was thinking that too.
It gives me Snow White vibes, and I think that's a good thing. Anyway.
So she was on the Ben Shapiro show. Now, of course, after she got fired from The Mandalorian, Ben Shapiro picked her up to be in a movie. He's starting a movie studio.
Very quickly. Like, boom.
It was like that day. Like, hey, I'll give you a job. According to Carano, she felt she was being bullied off the show for having different opinions.
I can understand why she felt that way.
I've been through so much. I've seen so much now, clearly, of the bullying that's been taking place, and I saw it before. I'm not the only one that's ever been bullied by this company, and I know that so deeply. So it's going to be on, this Sunday, they're going to air the whole interview.
Interestingly enough, though, in the past, haven't there been, child actors that came out and said that they did shows for Disney, that there was a lot of issues?
They all wind up screwed up. They all wind up on drugs.
But I know that we've heard stories from many a Disney Channel child that it wasn't as pixie dust as you had thought.
There's the public Disney use, and you gotta realize too, Disney is not just like one company. Disney is a bunch of little companies, all kind of working under the same mouse-shaped umbrella. Mm-hmm. But the culture is, and I will tell you, and we've heard this from multiple people, it's all about appearance. It's all about appearance. Things have, even if things are catastrophic, you can never let on that things are bad. You have to find the good You always have to find the good. And they try to tell you, well, that's what Walt would have done. I'm like, I don't know. Walt Disney got pretty bummed out sometimes, especially when he's facing bankruptcy. And
I think it's funny, too, even Walt Disney, though. He would be like smoking a cigarette before The Wonderful World of Disney, and then he'd put that thing out and go on camera, Not that smoking is bad. I'm saying at the time it was considered like,
yeah, but he was a showman. Like, he knew. Like, the Uncle Walt you saw on TV was not the actual Walt Disney. Now, I'm not saying he was a complete dick, but he was a businessman.
He was a businessman.
But
he was also about invention, and he was willing to put it all on the line.
Yeah.
All of it to do something new and exciting, and that's not the company now. But anyway, continue.
So set to air Sunday, Deadline revealed that Carano also suggested in the sit-down interview she could share a story that would shed a better light on her, but it would mean she'd be selling out a friend.
Yeah, don't do that. She's not going to. I wouldn't do it either.
I could share a story which would turn things around in the media, but I can't because it would sell out a friend. Everyone is afraid of losing their job.
We're hearing that as well, not just from her. We're hearing that from other people, not just in Disney, but in Hollywood, but definitely at Disney too.
It is, again, it's going to be really interesting to see if Disney moves more of its operations to Florida, how they're going to handle that, because I would say 3/4 of the executives in Florida are probably conservative. And I'm talking like right-winger, sitting around the table, talking.
Well, as you've seen firsthand.
Yes. And this is at multiple events, off the clock or whatever, we're having lunch between, media events or whatever. And they're all sitting around talking about, Tucker Carlson and Fox News. I mean, we're talking 2-hour conversations about Fox News and how great Tucker Carlson is. It's going to be really, and these are high-ranking executives. Some of these people, they're up in the PR.
My parents would be happy to hear this.
Well, no, your parents participated in some of these conversations.
Yes,
so I'm just saying, like, it's going to be, and I was always the odd man out. I'm like, well, I'm just going to look at my phone and eat my pizza while they talk about Tucker. I honestly have never sat down and watched Tucker Carlson ever. Like, I see clips of him.
Yeah.
I don't watch Fox News.
Time anyway.
I don't watch Fox News. But
you don't watch much news anyway.
No, it's depressing. News is depressing.
It's always skewed. Doesn't matter where you go.
Most of Carano's recent backlash comes from a post she made on her Instagram story talking about, how neighbors are turning on each other.
Here's the thing. She never said, Republicans or Democrats. She never said which side. She just said that, it's political. How is this different than people fighting over political views? Either way, it was never said people, harassing me because that's not what she said. I mean, that might be what you'd imply based on her other posts, but the same could be used in reverse. I've seen it both ways, honestly.
She says, how boxers headhunt sometimes and forget to go for the body. See, she'd know that because she fights. I feel like Disney or Lucasfilm or whoever it is, certain people at the company, I feel like I've been headhunted. You can just feel it. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of weeks ago, Lucasfilm asked an artist that they employ to erase my character and put a different character in place. Yeah, Ahsoka Tano. They put Ahsoka in. And now, how long till Rosario Dawson's problematic?
And she already is problematic, which is surprising to me that they replace her with Ahsoka. But I guess who else are you going to replace her with?
Another Baby Yoda. We'll just put a couple Baby Yodas in there.
I mean, I guess you could have Bo-Katan or something, but
He proudly announced on Twitter that he got to erase her. Erases my character and puts another character in place. All the fans of Cara Dune were just outraged. They were like, why didn't you add the character? Why did you have to take off the characters? Or something wrong? Is Gina getting fired?
To be fair, though, the artist was just doing what he was told to do. I mean, politics aside.
Yeah.
You can't just say, I'm not going to do it.
We had heard back channel before she got fired that was not a good sign. That she was erased like that.
Oh, I think everybody knew that. That wasn't just a back channel thing. We were hearing there's a lot of crap back channel anyway.
And, a lot of people were like, why you keep beating the Gina Carano drum? Why are you putting stories up on Pirates and Princesses about it? It was to draw attention to this.
We knew it was coming.
We knew it was coming.
That was what we were hearing. But this whole idea she's saying where it's like, certain people are being targeted or headhunted or whatever is something that we're hearing from multiple sources, not just her. And we're hearing people who are moderate or even lean left as well, that they're seeing friends, are afraid and things. It's not just people are coming to us like, oh my God, I'm right winger. And that's not what's going on our end.
No. And this kind of goes back to how we got involved in all of this. Anyway, we worked, we worked in and around Disney. We actually optioned animated series to Disney, worked on Disney Comics, ran a blog, had a good relationship
with the media.
Yeah, it was approved media.
So when we tell you how media works, it's because we know. Because
it was actually on the media list for years. Know people in PR over at Disney, and a lot of them are scared. I can tell you that. And we got into it because we wouldn't bend the knee. We started talking about comic books. We wouldn't bend the knee. We haven't changed.
You didn't even know there was an issue.
I didn't know
you
there was
just mentioned Marvel numbers and like, wow, this is kind of, concerning. And then all of a sudden he's getting all these, these concern messages from quote unquote friends. You need to stop talking about that. And we're like, why? And we didn't know. Next thing you know, we're on these block lists and everything else. And we're like, we had no idea any of this stuff was even going on. We were just like wanted to talk about Marvel because it's tied to Disney and because we did comics. We didn't even know.
No, I had no idea because I'd never worked for Marvel or DC Comics. I had friends that did, but I worked, in the Disney end of things, like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all that. Uncle Scrooge.
Actually, it's ironic because the Disney stuff is way more cutthroat than regular comics were.
Yes, it is. There aren't as many jobs. So
people will do really underhanded, shitty things. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not going to go into detail. But Kneon was the person that kept getting cut out by different factions constantly.
I did.
And you people know who you are. Anyway.
So yeah, I just, we kind of fell backwards into this and we haven't changed our politics at all. It's just that what happened was everything became so hyper political, and to keep your job in and around Hollywood, which includes, comics too, because comics are sort of an outgrowth of Hollywood and video games and all that. Why do people get on Twitter, and people that were sane 5 or 6 years ago all of a sudden are constantly getting political, constantly tweeting and saying the right things? They're doing it for the optics. They don't want to be canceled. They don't want to lose their job. I can tell you there are some people tweeting some stuff that I'm like, do I even know you? Because we've had conversations in person, and I know you don't actually think that or believe that, but you're doing it because you're afraid the outrage mob is going to come for you.
We had that one person that was an agent or whatever in Hollywood saying flat out that, they're deliberately pushing things to the left because they're afraid of getting canceled. Yeah, like they're telling their people to put posts up that lean left so they don't, look elsewhere. Don't look at me. That's
what this is all about. So what you've got, and she's not wrong in that regard then, because, she's saying about, neighbors turning on each other, and it makes it so much easier to have, an organization come in and just sweep them clean because the neighbors have already done a lot of damage. And that's kind of what's going on. We see it, especially in comics, that everybody's turning on everybody else. They're building lists. They're trying to, oust wrong thinkers.
She's correct. That is what happened historically speaking.
Yeah.
So historically speaking, she's correct. She did not attribute either one to either political party because it does work both ways. I have seen people on both sides, hunt their neighbors down as far as like not talking to them anymore or blocking everything they say or fights and stuff just because of different political opinions.
How many Facebook posts have we seen where we're like, I haven't talked to my mom in 5 years because she voted for Trump?
Or I've heard people say the same thing in the office.
Yeah,
it's not as many though. If I'm being fair, it's not as many the other way, but I have seen it both ways.
My mother's a fascist, and I wish that the government would just haul her away to a camp and re-educate her.
I've never seen that one.
But she's the fascist. No, I don't know.
I have not seen that one. But I'm just saying, this is something we ourselves are hearing as well, not just from Gina Carano. We have mentioned this before. If you go back to other videos, and even if you go to Pirates and Princesses, it's been brought up before by people. I think Pros mentioned it. Yeah. We've heard other people come to us about it. You've seen it with people in the media that you work with in the media. That if you lean a certain way, even if you're in the middle, they're concerned.
Yeah, and they should be, because it does seem like Disney, especially now, it seems like they are tripling down on far left politics. Disney used to be pretty apolitical, and even going back to Walt's day, Walt was definitely conservative. Mm-hmm. I mean, Walt was very patriotic. He did, involve himself in the McCarthy thing. He was trying to rat out his own, so I mean, that's, but I'm just saying, like, this company is a 180 from what it was originally. And a lot of people were joking that they're like, is basically a Chinese company with, the mouse set up shop in America. But
talking about back to this point, but talking about bullies and stuff and the work environment, toxic work environment. We've been seeing this a lot with Disney and not just Disney, with Twitter in general, the bullying. I'm going to tell you right now that I don't care which way you lean politically. If you behave the way some of these people I see on Twitter do, where they literally target people and bully them and like tell them to kill themselves and different things like that, and call them names. We even saw it when people stood up for Chris Pratt from the MCU actors. They were telling Zoe Saldana to they were calling her racist names because she backed him up. And it's like, wait, you just completely, she's backing him up because she's saying, basically cancel culture shouldn't, I don't think they believe in cancel culture. And they were calling her racist names. They were doing exactly what they say they're against because she didn't have the right opinion. And that's what there's a problem here. The bullying needs to stop. I don't care which side you're effing on. If you are out there telling people that they should, die, or calling them, foul names, or harassing them because you don't like, something they said politically, or any reason for that matter, you are a bully. Yeah. It's not automatically okay just because you vote this way and they vote that. No, it's bullying and bullshit, no matter which side it's on. And it's all wrong.
It is, but it's definitely ramping up. And what's going on now is, again, we're using social media, we're using whisper networks, we're using gossip to get rid of people at their jobs, out of their jobs for whatever reason. And a lot of it, I think, is just a power trip. I mean, it has escalated, I think, since the shutdown, because a lot of people have way more free time now. They're miserable, they're stuck in their houses, and now they're just, looking for people, to target. But as far as, Disney being the kind of company Gina Carano said, we could have told you this. We've been
telling you this.
There are some very good people, and I want to be clear. There are some very good people working at the company, but the company as a whole is honestly going down a pretty dark path. I mean, from my opinion, they're changing. They've strayed from what Walt wanted. They've strayed from being family friendly. They're doing stuff like this. Now, Disney's always had a way of making problems disappear.
Yeah, with lawyers.
There's this SEC whistleblower situation going on. We're seeing that Disney, for all their talk of, hey, your family.
It's the Disney difference. It's a family choice.
Yeah, they do. They tell you that. You go to the College of Knowledge and they tell you your family, you're part of the family.
Yeah, their business brand is basically, play on the whole family angle.
Yes. And then when push comes to shove, they shove their employees out the door, but they give their CFO an $11 million incentive.
I get that, hey, we don't have everything open, so we might have to lay some people off because we're having reduced capacity and hours. Okay, yeah, I get it. I mean, there's something, a lot of companies had to do that. I understand that sometimes you can't. But meanwhile, they're at food pantries and Disney's not actually exactly handing over money to that. No. But then they give a new contract to their CFO and then give her a new $11 million annual incentive, up to $11 million annual incentive to keep boosting Disney Plus and things like that. So while one group of people are in food pantries and, don't know what they're going to do because they lay them off, it would, I understand that, but they turned around and did this too. I mean, they didn't need to do this too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So, I mean, Disney is, it's definitely a global conglomerate at this point. I think more stuff is going to come out. I think what's going to happen, I talked about this a little bit yesterday in the video, and you weren't in that one about the animation studios, the independent animation studios. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of Disney defectors go start their own things or go work for other studios. And basically those studios are going to wind up being more, quote unquote, Disney than Disney is. Because they're going to take
we're already seeing it.
Yeah, they're going to take the lessons they learned at old Disney and apply them to their own thing. And they're also going to be small enough and not have to answer to investors and all that crap. They can do what they want to do.
Well, we're even seeing, since they're doing a new business shift and they're going to direct to consumer, that there's been a lot of employees that have been with Disney for years that were executives and stuff that have left.
Yes.
And they have all of a sudden jumped ship. It's every other week there's somebody else who's jumped ship, which is interesting.
It could be politics. It could be some people are like, I know I'm going to get canceled anyway, so I might as well just be preemptive. And
it could be they know their job's going to be rolling into something else, or they're going to be put under somebody else they bring in and they don't like, how that's going because they're restructuring or whatever. I think there's lots of reasons, but a lot of people are jumping. You don't leave something that's, that's going well for you. I'm just,
Yeah. So it might be, we talked about this before, and I think it was on your boy Zach's channel. He always talks about being pushed out of a burning building. And we said that we got pushed out. That's
how it happened to us.
Yeah, with our Disney blog, we had the partner run off with it, but we actually got pushed out of a bad situation into a better one. We could have
got it back, but it would have been throwing good money after bad because it's worth nothing now, and they completely ruined it. So it doesn't even make financial sense to do anything about it.
So I think people like Gina Carano might actually wind up being pushed out of a bad situation. It looks really bad now. But given the direction of the company long term, it might be that was for the best. You know, because you can't see it now, but maybe 2 or 3 years from now, you'll see that was the best thing that can happen.
I agree. And I feel bad that so many people are just, so afraid to speak up, and they have good reason to. But the problem is, until people speak up, nothing's going to change. Yeah. So I don't know what to tell you here is the answer, because people that are going to speak up first will be the ones that get gone. Guaranteed. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I don't blame them for being concerned and scared to say anything, because they're gonna march you to the gallows and hang you and make a public display of it, because they have to look at what happens to wrong thinkers and stuff like that. But if there's as many people as I think there is that are kind of like, even if they lean left, they're against cancel culture and they're against this whole behavior, that they could change it. They could make the changes necessary. But it would be a big risk. And I get that, because we had to weigh that before we even started doing these videos, because we knew as soon as we did any of this, we were going to be toast as far as media concerned, Disney, as far as comic books are concerned. We knew we were just giving it up to do this.
That's why we used avatars and fake names in the beginning.
Well, I mean, we're not hiding. I mean, we're not hiding. Easy to find.
We're easy to find, but it was harder. It was an extra step you'd have to go through.
But we knew it was done.
And we had that conversation. We're like, look, we speak out against comics or whatever. That's it. We're never working in mainstream comics again, ever. Because they're going to say we're toxic, and that's it. But the thing is, there are more of us than there are of them. That's one thing I've learned. The problem is the majority of people that could make a difference say nothing. They do nothing.
Yeah, because even statistically speaking, they said that the far extremists are a tiny percentage,
like 8% of the country.
The country, and then globally even. And they're a tiny percentage of this, and they're just the ones screaming the loudest and making the biggest threats and posturing the most. They're like the Scrappy Doo of the world, and because. And by the way, most people don't like Scrappy Doo. So what's that tell you about you? But the most people are in the, are in the middle or, on the other side. And they're just like, what? You don't see I don't vote Republican, and that's okay if you do, because I have a lot of family members who do. And we somehow get along great. No problems there. But I wouldn't want them canceled because they disagree with me. And It seems that one side definitely seems to go out of their way to silence or boycott or cancel than the other side.
But they accuse the other side of being the fascists.
Right. I know. I always find that funny.
It's like total projection.
It's like, you're not completely exempt from fascist behavior.
All right, guys. So I think more people need to leave on their own. Get the hell out while you can and go do your own thing.
Or get together and start calling it out.
Yeah.
And being that's what happened when they tried to cancel Chris Pratt. Even people didn't agree with him politically and were outspoken leftists, still were like, this isn't okay.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's like, he's okay. I don't agree with him, but leave him alone.
People that know him, or people that even not just that. He wasn't even making it political. He made a joke.
You're not allowed to joke.
I mean, he was trying to not talk politics, and it didn't matter because it was assumed, and this is ridiculous, and people were just sick of it.
Yeah, and that's why she's getting so much support, because it's like you actually create a martyr. Lucasfilm, Disney, you created a martyr.
I would say Lucasfilm more than Disney, because I don't know if Disney was completely apprised of the situation before it was done. No. I'm still on the fence about that one.
So we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more. Like I said, this interview is dropping tomorrow. And I think more people, because we're seeing the animators leave in droves, there are going to be more people speaking out against Disney and all the shit going on over there in the coming years. It's going to be interesting.
We need more media outlets that are going to be fair and not just toe the line for, Hollywood.
I agree. So we're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.